Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This will be my full Alien Earth Episodes 1 and Episode 2 video. This is meant to be an Alien prequel series that is canon to the movies and the Predator movies because recent Predator movies have canonized Alien and Predator to the same universe again. I know there's going to be a ton of questions about the Easter eggs, the references, what's canon, what's not canon from the Alien and the Predator movies, so I'll try to address that as we go through the video. We will see what kind of Easter eggs pop up on the series, but mostly it seems like from the first couple, it's just leaning heavily on Alien movie canon, not so much the Predator stuff. And the connections there are mostly through like Predator Badlands and the newer Predator movies. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. We'll see how my episode 1, episode 2 video does. If people really dig the series, then I'll continue doing weekly episode videos. But it's 2 episodes for the premiere, and it's going to be a weekly series after this. So 1 episode, episode 3 next week, and so on and so forth after that. There are 8 episodes total. It's actually currently tied as the highest rated thing in the Alien franchise that's ever been released. So I think there's a pretty good chance that they do get renewed for season 2. It's being made by Noah Hawley, who you probably remember from the FX Legion TV series, the X-Men TV series they did before Disney bought Fox, which is actually why in present day you're actually seeing this probably on the Disney Plus app, which technically owns Hulu and is merging Hulu into Disney Plus. So if they do get a season 2, you'll just be watching it on Disney Plus if you're watching it on Hulu right now. So if you wonder why Disney is releasing a really hardcore, actually really good-looking Alien TV series, that's why, because they just got control of Fox and the FX networks. Just to explain the timeline of this, it takes place in the year 2120. That is the same time that the Nostromo, Ripley's freighter ship in the first Alien movie, took off from planet Earth. So that's when it takes place in the Alien movie franchise, right before the events of the first Alien movie. So a big part of the idea is that the alien xenomorphs have been on planet Earth before the events of the first Alien movie, and this is one of the reasons why the Weyland-Yutani Corporation knew about the xenomorphs to begin with when Ripley's mission was going on and it sent them to LV-426. Also the idea that this takes place after the events of the Prometheus movie, which is like the true prequel of the actual series, so they learned about the engineers' race and the xenomorphs, and that's why Weyland-Yutani has been sending these ships out into deep space to collect specimens. There are many different ships. We've only just seen a couple of them, like Ripley's ship, the Nostromo, was actually a freighter that they diverted to actually pick up specimens, but the ship that we actually see during this is just a specimen ship that they specifically sent out to collect more xenomorph samples, along with other aliens that they found out in the galaxy. There are a couple of references to this during episode 1 where they're like, no, the specimens are the mission. We don't really care about the crew here. If you die, it's no big deal. We just want the specimens. All because the Weyland-Yutani Corporation remembers they recorded the events of the Prometheus movie, so they saw everything that happened with the engineers, they saw everything that happened with the xenomorphs, and they just want more of that. How can we turn that perfect life form into profit? Generally, I would say the only thing in terms of the movie canon that you can ignore are the Alien vs. Predator movies, but the recent Predator Badlands movie sort of combines or recanonizes the Alien movies and Predator together, so there probably will eventually, at some point, be new Alien vs. Predator movies. Starting with the title of episode 1, Neverland is a reference to J.M. Barrie's Peter Pan books and this place Neverland that Peter and Captain Hook live. Within the context of the episode, it's a reference to the Prodigy Company's Neverland Research Island, which seems like they're kind of doing things illegally. It's not really clear what's legal and what's not in the future of this Earth. There is a little bit of explaining about how the Earth is sort of divided up amongst mega corporations, though. Like, that is the eventual future, and it's meant to feel relatively realistic, like this could happen in our own Earth. They borrow a lot of design language, a lot of music, and a lot of cues from the Alien movies. So like the episode starts with the same green characters typing on a monitor, meant to look exactly like they do in Ridley Scott's Alien movies. So remember, during this movie, because it takes place the same year that the Nostromo leaves Earth, the ship in this movie is the exact same level of technology, the exact same type of ship as the Nostromo. So they basically do the titles the same way they do all the Alien movie titles. And the soundtrack has that same eerie kind of howling sound in the background as that movie begins. A lot of the opening shots of episode 1 are also mirrored for the opening shots of that first Alien movie. There is a little bit of intro text to sort of set the stage for the series and kind of what's at stake here. In the future, the race for immortality will come in three guises: cybernetically enhanced humans called cyborgs, like people who are already people and then just enhanced with cybernetic parts; artificially intelligent beings, synths, who are the same ones like Ash in the first Alien movie. Elle Fanning is playing one in Predator Badlands from the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. Timothy Olyphant's character, Kirsch, is also a synth during this, which is why he feels so cold and emotionless. And the third type are synthetic beings downloaded with human consciousness called hybrids, which are the young kids that we see in the adult bodies later in the series. Synths with human memories who think of themselves as human, like basically people just stuck in robot bodies. Later during episode 1, they also clarify that there are 5 major corporations on Earth battling for control of the planet and the future of the human race, basically the race for immortality in different types of ways. Whereas during the Alien movies, they mostly just show you that Weyland-Yutani being the mega corporation that seemingly controls Earth in the further distant future, but I think the idea is that this series takes place more on Earth, and the Alien movies mostly take place on other planets in deep space, so that's why you only see the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, and you don't really see too much of what's happening with the rest of Earth. But you have to imagine, while all the Alien movies are going down across that timeline, there's this battle for resources on Earth and control of the planet. Basically a whole bunch of tech bros just fighting it out with lawyers instead of regular armies. Then this final part of the intro text sounds very Dune-like he who controls the spice controls the universe, he who controls human consciousness in the state of existence controls the universe. That's the whole idea. The opening Alien Earth titles also is the same slow reveal design as the original Alien movie titles, and the shining light on one of the letters too. There's a montage of the ship traveling through space, the chestburster, the tiny alien emerging. They do this in episode 2 as well too, where they use the intro titles as a bit of a recap and foreshadowing stuff that happens later in the episode. This ship is called the USS Magnaut from the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. The way it pans through the cockpit with the helmet on the console, also just like the beginning of the original Alien movie, like I said, the slow reveal of the crew coming out of cryo, just bullshitting with each other around the breakfast table, talking about stuff. Exact same vibe as the first Alien movie. They show the interior of the synth's communication room with their mother, the supercomputer on Earth that the company controls, also the exact same as the one on the Nostromo. Remember, same year that ship took off from Earth, so exact same technology, which is why it looks like this is the 1970s, but vastly distant future. They briefly show their cargo room holds several types of alien samples, not just the alien xenomorph creature. They explained their crew has been on a deep space mission for 65 years to collect different samples from around the galaxy. Based on the timeline, that means that Weyland-Yutani sent their ship out the minute that they heard about what went down during the events of the Prometheus movie. They just immediately sending out as many ships as possible to pick up as many samples as possible. Didn't even bat an eyelash at all the people that died during those missions.
David, continue. Tell him why I came.
They explain that this ship is currently about 4 months' journey from Earth, and they cover that 4 months through a couple montages through the episode in clever ways, like flash forwards, like you see the alien xenomorph running around killing people throughout the episode, the other aliens breaking loose from containment, the zoo getting loose, killing everybody. You also notice during this breakfast table scene, just like the first Alien movie, the music, however, very different, very ominous, like you just sense that things are about to go very, very badly. All because they're kind of assuming that you have seen the first Alien movie already, so you know what's coming. There's also a lot of smaller references to that first Alien movie too, in the way things went wrong for them in that first movie. The ship's doctor chats it up. Remember, Ash was playing the original doctor of the Nostromo before he went bad. There's a bit of a red herring where they make it seem like there's another synth doing things that they don't like, watching them while they sleep, while they talk about it. Morrow here, also being the cyborg, is meant to be a bit of a misdirect, where he seems cold, but he seems relatively human, but ultimately winds up being more villainous than most of the other characters. He winds up being just like Ash, basically. They use a couple of these scenes, too, for characters to give tutorials to other characters, sort of set the stage and give you an explainer for what's happening in the future. Like, here's all the mega corporations that control planet Earth. These are the parts that they control. For instance, Weyland-Yutani, that controls their ship and their mission, only controls North and South America, and Mars and Saturn. We only learn about the other Prodigy Corporation during this episode. In episode 2, we'll probably learn about the other of the 5 corporations in the further episodes. They set the stage for the boy genius called Boy Cavalier. He's a bit of an antagonist during the series too, although he seems kind of like one by default in the way that he just cares about finding somebody really interesting to talk to, but he's doing all these things with his trillions of dollars that lead to terrible, terrible outcomes. Like, seemingly doesn't care about regular people. Basically like the worst kind of tech bro that you could possibly imagine. Sort of like the worst timeline version of Mark Zuckerberg. They start talking about the specimens. We see their scientists staring at a chest burster in containment. There's another squid one with eyeballs, totally different species. There's a bug-like one that they wind up paying off during episode 2, killing a whole bunch of people, doing all kinds of crazy things. This is only a small fraction of the specimens that they brought back too. Like, we're mostly focused on the xenomorph here because it's an alien TV series, so we're mostly just thinking about the alien creature. But there are actually several different types of aliens that they have here. One of the crew members starts talking about a conspiracy theory that Weyland-Yutani is putting stuff in their cereal to control their minds. That also feels like a misdirect, but foreshadowing for the fact that Weyland-Yutani also doesn't really care about their lives. It's not really that much of a conspiracy theory. They just want the alien specimens, and they will all ultimately die in pursuit of that. So he's not totally wrong, like there's probably not stuff in the cereal trying to control their minds, but there is something that Weyland-Yutani is doing to work against their best interests. Then there are a couple of quick flash forwards to the alien xenomorph having emerged and grown, running around the ship, crew fighting it. The crew goes back into their cryopods. I love the way they do this montage too, where they sort of mix together a bunch of flash forwards to jump forward through those 4 months back to Earth. Basically everything going wrong the exact way you expect it to in an alien movie or TV show. Step 1, chestburster gets somebody. Step 2, alien emerges. Step 3, kills the rest of the crew. Then we jump to Timothy Olyphant's synth character Kirsch talking to Marcy, who's about to become the first hybrid in human existence, a synth with human memories, basically a person downloaded into a robot body.
Is that what I'm gonna look like?
Yes, that's you.
Their whole tale about the scorpion here is meant to be a reference more to the xenomorphs and how they feel about humans, as opposed to the way that the series has mostly portrayed them as villains, antagonists. Like, how do you think they feel about us? You could also say this is a metaphor kind of about the synths and the way the synths feel about the human race. When Marcy asks him not to kill the scorpion, showing it mercy, this also feels like foreshadowing for the way that she's going to treat the xenomorph creature, because later in episode 2, you actually see that she can actually detect the wavelength that they communicate on, that buzzing sound, so it makes it seem like she will actually be able to communicate in some low-level way with the xenomorph. Then we meet the owner of the company, the founder, Boy Cavalier. He hypes her up because she's going to be the first of her kind in the way Neil Armstrong was the first man on the moon. And even though her real name is Marcy, she chooses to have the name Wendy because of the whole Neverland, Peter Pan, J.M. Barrie theme of what's going on in the episode. Like, they're on the Neverland Island. He plays the footage of the Peter Pan movie for her, and she plays it for everybody else when they get their synth bodies. All the other kids that get synth bodies also take names from Peter Pan. They refer to their group collectively as the Lost Boys. He even reads from J.M. Barrie's book to them too. You can also let me know who you think Captain Hook would be in this whole metaphor if everybody's taking names based on personalities from that story. Is it going to wind up being Kirsch? Is it going to wind up being the founder? Is it going to wind up being somebody else? Wendy then mentions her brother CJ, who they also refer to as Hermit, the medic, who can't see or know what she's doing because it's a secret. Probably illegal, that's why they're doing this in secret on the private island, but ultimately he does learn that it is her by the end of episode 2. There's a quick flash forward. They show some of the superhuman ability she has because of her synth body, basically the mind of a child inside a superhuman body. There are a couple of jokes about this through episode 1 and episode 2 where, like, all the other synths, the hybrids, start acting like little kids because they are still little kids. There's a brief moment where the scientist also says that they're trying to simulate adolescence to ease the transition to adulthood so that her mind doesn't break, like they're pumping a whole bunch of hormones into her body so that her mind doesn't completely fracture because of what's happened. We will see if that winds up leading to some bigger plot later in the season or if that was just like a one-off thing. There are a couple references to her following orders, like, can you follow orders? And she says, yes, I can follow orders. But as we all know, little kids are terrible at following orders. And because there are so many of the hybrids, I think they're trying to tease that at least some of them might go off the rails at some point. There's a little bit of an explainer when she's talking to the other kids, explaining why they can't do this with adults, but that's the whole end goal. Basically, turn the human race into immortal superhumans eventually. Wendy starts to remember events from her childhood. They also use this for her brother, Hermit, too, where they remember shared memories like watching the movie or watching moments with their father. As you probably noticed, the movie is Ice Age Continental Drift, canonizing the Ice Age movies to the Alien franchise. We'll talk about this later in the episode when we actually get there, but their father is actually played by Noah Hawley in real life. It's a cameo from the series creator in a couple scenes. There's another super creepy montage with them zipping up all the little kid bodies, getting ready to dispose of them because they don't need them anymore. On the plaque, the monkeys are meant to be hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil, which is a reference to this whole tech bro trillionaire kind of bad consequences kind of situation. Like, what's going to ultimately come from all this? Will it lead to good things or bad things? Basically, science and tech run amok. We go back to space to see the Magnaut crash to the planet as they flash backwards through the events of the Xenomorph getting loose, killing everyone. We get another real crazy WTF montage. There's another moment with their cyborg, Morrow, that evokes imagery from Ash sort of working against the crew of the Nostromo, where he basically barricades himself in that communications room and then in the crash pod so the Xenomorph can't get him, but also just sits there humming to himself quietly while the Xenomorph kills the rest of his crew. Seems like he could care less about the rest of the crew dying. Then they flash down to planet Earth, just a normal day in New Siam in Thailand here, also referred to as Prodigy City, meaning that their company controls this part of Asia. Wendy watches her brother Hermit, who also works as a medic for the same Prodigy company. They told him that she died, but she continues to watch his actions from the Neverland Island because, as we've learned, she's evolved to be able to control technology from afar, like she's kind of a technopath now. She makes the Joe DiMaggio baseball reference to set up the whole Mr. October reference in episode 2, where he gets the actual physical World Series baseball, is he's listening to a modern baseball game broadcast, or this could be from the past. They're not really clear about that. Maybe people still play baseball in the distant future. All their techs look like they're just monitoring all the hybrids 24/7 just to see what's up with their bodies, just because this is still in the experimental phase. Like I said, they showed their father in the picture. He's played by Noah Hawley in a cameo scene. We actually see a cameo scene with him in episode 2. Maybe we'll get a couple flashes of him throughout the rest of the series too. They eventually imply that the father was actually complicit with the CEO so that Wendy could undergo this procedure in the hopes that she would survive, but the company would be able to do whatever they wanted to do with her. Basically, the idea is that now the company technically owns her, even though she is still a person in a robot body. They'll probably argue with the morality of that in the future of the series, like, can you actually own a person, and is it slavery or is it not slavery if she's part robot? To make a Rick and Morty reference, I would argue yes, that's still slavery with just extra steps.
That just sounds like slavery with extra steps.
There's a quick flash of them watching movies together as children as he watches the same movie in present day. They also use this as a reference later when he's in the office talking to the support robot and she speaks through the robot, controlling it from afar. She winds up reciting a line from that same movie that he's watching right here. Then we see the alien xenomorph plot colliding with the hybrid in the brother plot as the Weyland-Yutani ship crashes into New Siam and he rushes off with the other medics from the Prodigy company to try and help everyone. Where the company learns about all the specimens, quote unquote, that they want to get their hands on now, where the new CEO is basically saying, we need to grab all that before Yutani can get it. There's a lot of vibes from James Cameron's Aliens 2 where they're all rolling out with their gear into the crash zone. So it's not just references to the first Alien movie, they're also borrowing references in design language, sound, and just scenes in general from all the different Alien movies. One of their crew also notes that Weyland-Yutani used to sell trading cards, meaning that the Weyland Corporation grew out of very different types of business. This is meant to both be a reference to the actual Topps trading cards that were sold for the first Alien movie. There were actual Alien trading cards. I think I actually bought trading cards myself in real life for Alien 3 when it came out in the 90s. But I also think it's a bit of a Nintendo company reference too. So Nintendo in present day is known for making video games, video game consoles, but they actually started out in the 1800s making playing cards and then transitioned into other business lines, eventually making video games, video game consoles, and becoming one of the world's most successful companies. Morrow the cyborg then breaks out of his crash pod, notice the scratch marks, the xenomorph had to go elsewhere to survive the crash, but is still very much alive as we see through episode 1 and episode 2, but the rest of the crew who weren't killed already by it were probably killed in the crash. Morrow then continues to alert Wayland HQ, letting them know what's going on, so they send a team in to try and grab all the specimens before the Prodigy Company can steal all the specimens. We will probably get a lot of this corporate espionage kind of stuff happening in the rest of the series too, just because this is the distant future, and if the world is controlled by corporations, they probably each have their own private armies. They also mentioned that Yutani is currently in control of the Wayland Yutani Corporation. Remember, we saw Wayland during the Prometheus movie, so we've met different members that were responsible or controlled the Wayland Yutani Corporation at different points. Wendy then convinces them to let the hybrids go investigate and help so she can help her brother, and they refer to them as the Lost Boys because remember the whole Peter Pan mythos that they lay on all the stuff that's going on here. All the different members of their group have names taken from Peter Pan. There's a brief mention of whether or not they're going to be obedient, like can hybrids take orders? Yes, we can totally take orders, but like I said, they're little kids. Little kids are terrible at taking orders, and because they have human personalities and memories laid in robot bodies, they're not as controllable as regular synths and robots are. Meaning there'll be at some point where some of them will not do what they're told to do, particularly Wendy, it seems like. There are a couple brief moments where the other hybrids also talk about their invincible bodies and how they can still be damaged technically, implying what it's going to be like when they go up against the actual xenomorph. We'll be able to be damaged, but they won't be able to perma-kill us the same way. Morrow then tries to duck the medics as part of Wayland Yutani's mission, orders to protect their mission. This continues through episode 2 as well, where he basically tries to yoink the xenomorph before the Prodigy people can get their hands on it. They enter the science lab, start seeing all the broken containers, they start spotting all the dead bodies. The one on the floor they see is actually from the alien bug that sucked all the blood out, that then gets one of them too, and the other one eventually. Basically the world's worst tick that you could possibly imagine. When Morrow is communicating with the mother supercomputer and references the fugitives, he's talking about the specimens that have escaped containment.
I'm not your brother.
When the other medics then enter the cryo room and start investigating it, you get some more sound cues from James Cameron's Aliens movie and the first Alien movie. There's a lot of sound design and exact same sound references from the previous Alien movies. Some of it is just copy and pasted from the previous Alien movies. They spot the crew member that ran afoul of the chestburster that gave rise to the xenomorph that they're up against. We can also see it crawling around in the ceiling too in the background. There are a couple moments where you actually see them focus in the background and you can see movement. That's just the xenomorph coming out of them. Then they end the episode with the hybrids prepping to enter the crash with Kirsch's speech about humanity being food for other predators. Make all the Predator movie references you want to, as a reference to what just happened with the bugs feasting on the medics, bigger and smaller predators, isn't very small because they're bugs that just sucked all their blood out. Wendy then declaring that her brother will not die because she will stop it from happening, which she does later in episode 2. Although they end episode 2, also a bit of a cliffhanger as well. But I think the whole idea that by the time we see episode 3, I haven't seen it as of this video posting, that she will probably find a way to save him. Basically what Kirsch is telling her though is that now that she is in an immortal body, she's eventually destined to watch her brother and every other regular human die. Then they end the episode with Black Sabbath's song Mob Rules. There were a couple people that actually asked me online about what song this was that was playing. There's actually some great sound choices. There's a Tool song at the end of episode 2 as well. Then the title of episode 2 is Mr. October, a reference to Reggie Jackson's nickname in real life, with the payoff of his World Series baseball that they get during the episode. The reason why he was called Mr. October in real life is that October 18th, 1977, Reggie Jackson hit 3 home runs with Game 6 of the World Series to lead the New York Yankees to an 8-4 win in a 4-2 series victory over the LA Dodgers. You also notice the rich guy who had this on display when he picks the baseball up has a CRT, which is probably really expensive in the distant future. Where did he get this CRT in working condition that's playing playback of that episode? Like, the whole idea here is it's the baseball with a TV from that same year, from like the 1970s, with that game playing. In the actual episode, her brother also uses that Mr. October name as a reference to a special kind of hero who rises to the occasion. And I think that's also meant to be a reference to Wendy in the episode rising to the occasion, becoming a hero. During the intro title reveal this time, they use the same style as the original Alien movies, but they also flash scenes of the Xenomorph and recap the events of episode 1 very quickly. Like, really interesting way of doing a recap and your titles at the same time. They start the episode with Wendy's brother Hermit continuing to search the ship with the other medics. They hear the Xenomorph moving around the ship behind them. You spot it running around in a couple places behind them. They find more dead crew members killed in various ways by different specimens, not always the Xenomorph. They make the Agatha Christie reference, saying that they should let the forensics team do the detective work to figure out what caused all of the deaths in the crash. Like, we're just here to sift through the dead bodies, let other people try to figure out exactly what's going on. They get a little on the nose when Hermit actually mentions Alien and the Xenomorph just appears right behind him. Then there's a brief moment where they go back to the Neverland Ranch where one of the scientists is talking to the CEO, Boy Cavalier, about what his real goals are and showing you just how detached from reality is. Like, he's doing all this, spending his trillions of dollars to advance science just because he wants to talk to somebody who's more intelligent, more profound than he is.
Finally be able to have an interesting conversation.
This kind of feels like setup for him coming face to face with the Xenomorph creature, because all the Alien movies always refer to the Xenomorphs as the perfect alien life form. So maybe that'll be his comeuppance, like he will come face to face with the Xenomorph and it'll just absolutely wreck him. When the other hybrids mess around and are playing with each other, just acting like little kids as they head into the crash zone, it feels like more vibes from the James Cameron Aliens movie, with the crew being really lighthearted as they entered LV-428 before things got really serious really fast. There's a bit of a jump scare where Hermit gets some alien goo dripped on him as he's afraid to jump over the chasm until it drops down and he just bolts off, just takes off, falls through a couple levels, and then just hits the elevator right before it gets him. Really, really easy way to get over your fear of heights. Then they flash back to the previous day to show some of his backstory with him trying to quit the company, the Prodigy Company, so that he can go to medical school on Mars and fulfill his dream, having recently won a scholarship, which it denies his request. It's meant to feel just like Rain did during the Alien Romulus movie, who was denied her request by the company to transfer the planet. Basically like a soulless AI support creature, which feels very true to real life. Like, this is probably the future of all tech support, as bad as it sounds. There's a little bit of backstory explaining their father, Frank, died last year. Noah Hawley's brief cameo scene, like I said. All the techs monitor Wendy watching her brother through the camera feed of the support robot from afar. Because remember, he lives inside New Siam, and the company controls all the tech all over this place, and she can now tap into the tech and control it like a technopath. Which is how she almost interacts with him, reciting a line from their favorite movie, confusing him for a second, like, wait a minute, why are you referencing the movie that I just watched? We will probably see her use this technopath ability in different ways as it evolves through the rest of the series. There are a couple special powers that she's shown to have, like she can detect on the aliens' wavelength that they broadcast, like their communication on a low level. We get that brief phone call where Yutani calls Boy Cavalier and they have it out over the rights to the crash and the specimens, the talk and the negotiating with the treaty, the lawyers. Of course, they're not going to wait for getting into more higher level corporate espionage, like I said. Like, we'll probably see the companies go at each other in bigger ways through the series. As they move in on the crash, you notice that Wendy starts to hear the buzzing sound. Like I said, that's basically her detecting the frequency that the alien xenomorphs broadcast on, like when she gets really close to the egg sacs that are broadcasting on that wavelength. My assumption is it's just some natural way that the alien xenomorph race is able to communicate with each other. But you do notice that she's the only hybrid who starts to pick up on the actual xenomorph once they enter the building. Kirsch's separate group of hybrids finds another type of alien dropped down in a pod. It's not a chestburster, but it is giving similar chestburster vibes. Like, what's going to come out of that? Like, what is up with this tendril that's just snaking around? That is eventually going to get somebody. Check out Smoking Gun here. It has to go off at some point in some future episode. We get that crazy, crazy scene of the cat that's being controlled by the tentacle alien with the giant eyeball that seems like more of a parasite that just takes over other bodies. all the hybrids freak out because they are still little kids. Like, of course, little kids would be frightened by that. We go back to Hermit, who runs into another one of the medics with the alien xenomorph chasing him. There are a couple cool reveals in this scene too with some comeuppance. So like he runs into the random group of rich assholes having the dinner party. They care nothing for the crash. Like, no, there's no problems here. We're just going to continue having our party until they're shortly then ripped to pieces by the xenomorph. My assumption too is that the one who answered the door is Cyborg, and that's why he's still alive even though his body got ripped in half. Morrow then inadvertently winds up saving Hermit from the xenomorph using an electrical shock-based weapon, showing that it's very effective against them, and a really cool bag and tag weapon, which would have come in very handy during the other Alien movies. Remember, we're set during the same time period as that first Alien movie, so they would have had the same technology then, technically. You can kind of tell that he has a lot of information about what the xenomorph is capable of and how to fight it. Then winds up shocking Hermit because obviously he doesn't care about Hermit. He's trying to take the xenomorph before Prodigy can get their hands on it. Him trapping the xenomorph in the bag also feels like a reference to the aliens trapping humans in the movies to serve as incubators for the chestbursters, like now the shoe is on the other foot. Kirsch then interfaces with the Weyland-Yutani ship to learn about all the specimens and learns about the alien egg sacs and is like, everybody go grab those egg sacs right now. There's a really cool moment here too where Morrow almost gets away with the xenomorph, but you can see as it's alive, it breaks out of containment, kills the other medics, and there's a brief second where it seems like it almost lets him know that it's coming for him to get revenge for sticking in that bag. Like, I'm coming for you later, I will be back. My assumption is the reason why it didn't kill him here is because he didn't show fear, and that was what he told the other medics, like, careful, it can detect fear, so that's what it goes for. Maybe that will help the hybrids when they also try to fight it, like that'll help Wendy if she shows no fear. Wendy then arrives in the building to rescue her brother Hunter, who hallucinates their childhood memories, hanging out with their father singing songs, the same way Wendy flashes back to her past occasionally. He yoinks the Reggie Jackson baseball from 1977, which starts the playback on the CRT from the 1970s. We get another Noah Hawley cameo in another memory of his watching the exact same recording of the similar baseball game as a child. You also notice that the rich guy was probably just a big baseball fan because he has a Phillies uniform nearby too in a case. I couldn't tell which Phillies uniform that was, whose uniform that belonged to. Probably cost him a fortune to get all this stuff. Kirsch then orders Wendy and the other hybrid back to the ship to help secure the alien egg sacs. She tries to keep her secret a little while longer because the company didn't want anybody finding out about what they'd done. But the other hybrid, because they're little kids, just blabs out literally anything that comes into his brain. And her brother learns the secret, and they slowly sort of come to an understanding where he basically recites lines from their childhood, and she confirms that it is her.
Don't you dare.
That's your sister.
There's a lot that happens here in the last 5 minutes of the show, so they'll probably continue to unpack this reunion emotionally in future episodes. There's no time for that now, we have a whole bunch of alien egg sacs that they've just discovered the xenomorph has shown up and yoinked him. But there's a brief moment where she does explain, oh, I was about to die, so our father signed me away to the CEO so that he could try this experiment to help me survive. So remember, the whole idea is that the father and everybody else had to lie to the brother. So the brother is the only guy who wasn't in on this secret from the start. When they enter the cargo room and they see the 6 egg sacs, remember, 6 chest bursters here, there are 6 potential new aliens on Earth, 7 if you count the one xenomorph that was already birthed on the ship. This whole reveal with the laser light above them too is meant to look exactly like the first time they discovered the alien egg sacs on the engineer's ship in the first Alien movie. Notice though that she starts to hear the buzzing sound in a way more powerful way when she gets near the egg sacs and the xenomorph shows up. Like I said, it just feels like she can detect the same wavelength that they communicate on. Then they end episode 2 with another cliffhanger of the xenomorph yoinking her brother, her running after them, and leaving the other hybrid to watch the eggs, who might be safe from the chest bursters. I don't know if the eggs would actually trigger for a synthetic human. It might need an organic person for it to work. This time they play the Tool song over the end credits. Really solid music choices so far. We'll see what kind of music they use during episode 3. But episode 3 title is going to be Metamorphosis, which is a reference to obviously the changing of the xenomorph from chestburster to small alien to bigger alien, just the life cycle of the aliens in general. What I'll probably do is just see how everybody digs the series so far, and if everybody likes it enough, the video does well, then I'll do more episode videos week to week. There's a bunch to unpack, just overall great series. If there are any Easter eggs or references that you spotted that I didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments. So everybody click here for my new Avengers Doomsday Deadpool teaser video, and click here for all my new Spider-Man Brand New Day videos as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.